right, kindergartners, today we're going to use shapes again to make a piece of art, but we're going to be using different materials and using shapes differently. You have a piece of paper and it has some lines where I have creased or folded your paper. If you would like, you may trace those lines with the pastel. A pastel is like a crayon, only it goes on your paper a little smoother. If you would like to skip this step, you may. In each of these rectangles, I am going to make a shape. So maybe I will start in this rectangle, and I'm going to make a rectangle inside of my rectangle. I can switch colors if I want. Now I'm going to make a smaller rectangle. So I'm repeating the shape, and I'm making it inside. I think I'll make one more, the smallest rectangle. So it goes from big to small. I can either repeat the same shape, or I could make another shape in my next rectangle area. I'm making an oval, so I made a large oval. Here's a medium oval. And lastly, I'm going to make a small oval. I'm gonna move to my next area, and maybe I'm making a pattern like rectangle, oval, rectangle, oval. You can do that if you want, or you could just make different shapes. I think I'm gonna make an oval here. Large, medium, small. I can continue my pattern or start a new one. Maybe I'm going to make a large heart. This is a little bit tricky to make smaller hearts. And then I have a really tiny one. There we go. And now I think I'm going to make a square in this area. Large, medium, small. If I want, again, I can make a pattern, heart. Again, the heart is a little bit tricky because you have to make a very small heart, and that's not an easy task. We're gonna be making something called a watercolor resist. A watercolor resist is where you use oil pastels, which is what we're using, or crayons, and then put a water-based paint on top. All right, so now I have different shapes, and I've made them in small, medium, and large inside one another. We're gonna use something called liquid watercolors. Liquid watercolors don't need to have water added to them. We do use water. We use the water to rinse our brush because we need to change and clean our brush as we change colors. So let's see, I think I'd like to start with this kind of pinkish color, and I can paint right over top of my pastel. And you can see that it's not covering. When I want to switch colors, I swish in the water and I go into my next color area. I'm gonna do this yellow. I want to switch colors, swishy swish, new color. When I'm painting, I'm remembering that my paintbrush is like a ballerina. Ballerinas never scoot on their bottoms. They always dance on their tiptoes. This is the tiptoes of my paintbrush. So I'm tiptoeing, not booty scooting around my paper. And I'm going to keep working like this until my paper is full of color. And here I'm almost finished. I want you to notice how I only painted each area one time. I didn't paint the same spot with more than one colors. I also never mixed the colors in my paint set. I kept it nice and clean. Sometimes this happens where when the colors are near one another, the color kind of bleeds or spreads into the other color. That's okay. You can see it happening right there. What I'm not doing is painting on top of where I've already painted. If the colors kind of move back and forth because the paper's wet, that's fine. But what you don't want to do is keep painting the same area more than one time. So your big takeaways with paint are paint every area one time, not more than one time, no booty scooting with your paintbrush, and no mixing paint. Don't mix in the palette or on your paper unless it's an area where the paint is bleeding like that, and that's okay. And you'll have a beautiful piece of art that shows me all about shapes.